All right, here we are, back again. Another Friday.
And another episode of the Big Buck Theory.
Another episode. We're sitting down with one of Vermont's deadliest deer hunters, I would say.
Well, dedicated anyway. I don't know about deadliest, but
Well, I don't know. Looking around here, I would say deadliest.
Yeah.
You've done well for yourself, Mr. Jeremey Ballantine.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, no, it's been an obsession, you know.
Yeah.
Ever since I killed my first big one, you know, like that was kind of what started it, you know.
Was that the picture that I've seen in a newspaper article of
Yeah, there was snow on the ground,
Yeah.
big heavy 8-point. I don't have him here, but yeah.
That was your first?
That was the first like big buck. Yeah.
And how old were you?
I was 22, 21, something like that. Yeah.
It's a good age to light the fire.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I killed my first bull elk that year too in Colorado, so it was a good year.
I remember that picture too.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think just to start off here, you know, I have a lot of respect for you as a deer hunter, and I'm going to give you your flowers, as the kids call it nowadays. And you're a unicorn in a sense that you're a tracker, but you're also a bow hunter.
Oh yeah.
And very rarely you have a guy who can do it all.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's why, you know, I have a lot of respect for you, and I've looked up to you for a long time just because I aspire to be that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be a guy who can track and bow hunt.
Correct.
Yep.
So, you know, it's definitely
It's more of an all-around woodsman than
yeah.
because
'Cause
you're
it's
not
two very
only
different
that. I
things.
mean, we'll even step outside the realm of just deer hunting. The time and that you've invested into moose hunting, that you've killed some phenomenal bear.
Yep.
With archery equipment too, correct?
Yep.
And I mean, you slay turkeys in the spring, so I mean, you're just an all around, and it's a rarity. You don't really hear that a whole lot.
Yeah.
Let's go Vermont.
Right? And I think a lot of that can be said by the amount of time that you invest into it. It's
the scouting, the spring scouting especially. You know,
Right.
the amount of time I spend finding sheds and then figuring stuff out in the spring, you know, as soon as that snow melts and figuring out where those deer were. I figure my plan for deer is I prepare for the worst, which is no snow on the ground, warm conditions. I prepare so I could kill them even if I have that condition. And then I get snow on the ground. That deer, with all that scouting that I've got and all the history that I've got, then he's usually really in trouble.
right.
You know, if I can't kill him out of a stand or I haven't yet, and then I get that track in snow, it's like, man, like he's in big trouble.
Well, and the cool part for me too, and I know I've talked to you about this, is the marriage part of this for you guys. Your guys' marriage is almost very conducive to both of your lifestyles. The amount of time you put in the woods is the same love that your wife has for horses. So you
100%,
guys are very able to do the things that you love and still make your home life work as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You gotta have a passion in life. So.
Yeah, because with you being gone all the time, she definitely has to have something that she likes to do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that wouldn't have worked out with you.
Yeah, no,
Anyway.
no, absolutely, no. It's definitely is a huge part.
How
100%.
old were you in life when you figured out how to take a lot of the fall off? Like, how old were you?
I was probably, it was probably right out of high school. I took a summer job at Strassosimo Lumber just for something to do until I figured out what I wanted to do. And I was like stacking lumber. It was it was just a boring,
Labor job.
Yeah. And I needed some time off, and then I got a chance to go to Colorado to go elk hunting. That was the first time that I could go, and I couldn't go that year because I couldn't get the time off. And I was just like, that's got to change, because I've always wanted to go out west. I've always wanted to, and I got to have time in the fall. So it's like, if I got to find a way that I can work 9.5, 10 months out of the year and bust my ass and then be able to take some time off. And that's when I started, getting into the carpentry aspect of it and having my own business or be a subcontractor or whatever. And I found it worked, because then I could set my hours. I could work 7 days a week if I wanted. I could work 14, 15 hours a day and get a project done.
Yep.
Make some money and learn how to budget my money and get my bills paid, and then head out west.
Right.
And then go from hunting elk to get back, and then I'd guide moose hunters for a little bit, and I'd make some make some money guiding moose hunters.
So it's kind of like
then,
work. And
then jump right into deer hunting. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's, it's definitely talked about. I'm not going to say it's not talked about, but that's a very important piece of the puzzle.
Time is a huge part.
If you want to be as successful that you've been, you cannot have a 9 to 5.
Yeah, you got to have time. Especially when you get snow coming or you got a good cold front coming. You can't rely on just killing those big bucks on a Saturday or Sunday.
No.
It's just not. I mean, there's some guys that are very effective at it, that are really good at working out their time. They get 1 week of vacation and they can figure out a good week or whatever and do it. But it's, for me, I just got to have more time to be in the woods. It's not necessarily about killing the deer either. It's just for my sanity.
Yeah,
I
to
agree.
be be in the woods. Like
Yeah.
we were not put here on this earth to work our entire life,
to pay bills and die
and hunt 1 week out of the year. It's just like not dealing with that.
I like that.
I'm not doing that.
No.
So it's like life's short, man. You got
true.
You got to have a passion, and you got to just pursue it as hard as you can. And just as long as all the other stuff clicks and everything's good,
Right, you're not dropping the ball in other places in life.
Yeah,
like as long as you're paying your bills and your wife's happy or whatever.
It's a lot of work, but it's worth it.
And something that stands out to me about that too is it's so contradicting to look at it that way to the way you're raised, because a lot of if you're that type of person and you're you love to hunt and you want to go spend a lot of time doing it, to most people, especially family members, is that's not a way to make a living.
Yeah.
No, but that's a way to live happy. You know what I mean? But a lot of times, because I can kind of relate to that, is that you're supposed to go to school, you graduate from school, you get a job or go to college. This is how you're supposed to live.
Bills.
You pay your bills. You're supposed to start a family. You're supposed
That's
to
what
live
they
a
want
life,
you to do.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's
That's the boss.
You'll have time when you retire.
Right.
It's like the way I looked at it, I'm just like, man, I want to elk hunt as much as I can when I'm in my 20s and 30s.
in your physical prime.
Because that's when I can put 100 pounds of elk meat on my back and pack it out and just be like, all right, I got to go back for one more load.
Right.
And you can do it. That's really going to be tough, even though I'm still working on it. I mean, I'm going to be 47 soon, but I mean, I'm going to the gym as much as I can. I want to be in the best shape every year, like stronger and stronger every year. I want to be strong when I'm 50s, 60s,
Right.
but people got to do it in their youth. You gotta go do it. That's when you have that fire and all that energy, and
It comes a lot more naturally when you're younger. Like you don't have to work at it as hard.
well, you
for
just
the
don't
physical.
you don't get as tired,
Right, yeah.
When I was in my 20s and 30s, I could just sleep was optional.
Really?
Like, I mean, you could just go.
Yeah. I can't.
It's getting to the,
I'm
it's getting to the point
way.
now
I'm a
where it's
sleeper.
like, man, I'm in good shape and everything, but it's not as easy as I was when I was 20.
No kidding.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that can relate to that can get into the booze some, and they probably don't handle it quite as bad.
Well, that's a big thing. Lifestyle.
Oh yeah.
Like you've lived your life as, probably how I'm trying to live mine is like trying to be healthy so you can hunt.
Yeah. Oh,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean? And it's like that's what you're looking at is like how can I live the other 10, 11 months or whatever to make that 1 month better.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, all through my 20s and 30s, I worked security at a bar every Friday and Saturday night. So it was like I could be out socializing with everybody and making money, but I wasn't out drinking
Right.
and spending money. But I was still, working the door, checking IDs and stuff, and chatting with everybody and making money. And it was like I still got all the social aspects of being out partying and stuff, but I wasn't at the same time.
Yeah, because you can't, like, guys do it, but you cannot be into the booze hard and hunt as hard as we hunt.
No way.
It just
There's
isn't
no way.
possible.
No.
You know what I mean? You got to be.
Not day in and day out.
No.
You can't get up, day 5 of going as hard as you can, doing 10+ mile days and expect to
to function
you
the
can't
same
do it.
at all.
No.
No, you can't.
And even if you can, you're not enjoying it like you would if you were totally sober.
That's for sure.
It's one thing to have a beer or two at the end of the day
100%.
after hunting, but
Yeah.
but I think this is a lot more athletic of a game than people.
The more athletic you are, the easier it is.
Especially here.
Green Mountain Power's here, Jeremy.
Especially here.
Yeah.
Because We are so much different. Maybe not west like you are
They're
in
gonna have to talk to
Colorado.
you.
Yeah.
All right, we'll pause it.
Yeah, stop it for a minute. Let me go check.
I
We're back.
believe I was talking about like the mountains. For people like in the Midwest or down south that don't understand how different the terrain is here, you have to be more athletic here.
Yes.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
you're not going to a tree stand. You're like some of these places you're hunting are 3,000-4,000 foot mountains, and you're starting at just above sea level.
Yep.
And to get to where a lot of these big mature bucks are, if you want to get away from people and you want to hunt deer with age on them.
Yeah, upper third is usually where they, most of the time is where they're at.
Right.
A lot of times, you know.
Yeah, and even the like mobile bow hunting game is like I've learned over the course of time here that to do that game is a very athletic pursuit as well.
Yeah.
Like doing the saddle thing, like you know, you're running around with weight on your back.
Yep.
And then you're picking a spot and you're getting up in the tree. And you know, there's a lot of physicality that goes along with that and being confident with that. You know.
Oh, yeah,
It's one
like-
thing to just do it once or twice, but to do it day after day after
Right.
day. And
Yeah, we're on bow hunting in like the end of October, first part of November. A lot of those spots, especially Mass and New Jersey and stuff, it may be over a mile walk in there
right.
for the approach that I have to take, you know. So you're walking 2.5 hours in the dark before daylight. You know, and you got to get up there on the mountain. You got to have a system too. If it starts to get colder into November and you're going to be bow hunting, you got to be able to hike in there and then change once you get up to elevation that you're going to be at and put different clothes on, and then
Because you're not hiking in what
then
you're sitting in.
then you're stashing everything. That's the only way I could do an all day sit. And you're 2 miles from the truck, you know, and you got to sit there from dark to dark.
I've always found
that's taxing as well.
super interesting in the way that you approach that, because I don't know if a lot of people understand that part of it. But and I'm assuming when you talk about stashing your clothes, you're taking like a big 5-gallon Ziploc bag in, and you're going in, sucking all the air out of it, putting your clothes somewhere, and then making a slower approach.
And that's all got to be scouted out. Like, not only you're figuring out your stand site, you're figuring out your approach, but you're also figuring out where am I going to change
Right.
all my clothes. So you're less impact. You're not leaving scent where deer could be coming from. You're finding the lowest percentage spot that deer are going to walk. And a lot of times I'll find like a chunk of ledge or something like that that's really nasty side hill where they're not going to walk through there, and that's
Right.
where I'll change.
Stash your stuff.
But I'll have all that marked like on my map. You know, be 2 hours before daylight, you know, and I'm standing there almost bare ass naked, fucking putting all new stuff
As
on.
quick
you
as
know?
you can.
Yeah, well, it's actually nice. You know, you hike way up on that mountain and you're dressed really light, and then you take everything off and you put on all new stuff, and you're all cool and dry, and then you can make that 200-yard
Focus,
walk
yeah.
to your stand.
Right.
Now, what do you do? What do you do about food on the all-day sits?
I don't bring a lot. Like, I'll bring a couple granola bars or something like that. Like, just
Simple.
maybe a little bit of sugar, some M&Ms or something like that. But
That's how he stays
Not-
lean.
not a lot.
Holy
You know?
cow.
Yeah, I lose a ton. I'll lose a ton of weight in hunting season. Yeah. I
Right.
mean, I'm just under 200 right now, but I'm sure by the end of hunting season I'll be under 180.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
kind of. And if I was going elk hunting, it'd be even more. I mean, when I went and guided elk hunters last year in Idaho, 2 weeks, I lost over 15 pounds.
Wow.
So I mean, you lose
Just packing out and
packing in high elevation.
Yeah.
8,000 foot elevation, packing with a backpack on all
No
day
wonder
long. It's-
when we get snow, a deer doesn't have stand a chance
it's
around
necessary.
here. You are tuned up. when
It's
you get back.
necessary. It's good for you.
Oh yeah.
It is. It is.
Well, and I
definitely.
think that's because, like, the last couple of years I've noticed, especially with having kids and not having the time to do the pre stuff and man, like last year was probably the best year I've had in a couple of years, to where I was spending a lot more of. I didn't have time to pre scout for bow season, so I was using a lot of my bow season to scout mobile
Oh, yeah.
with a bow in my hand, but trying to get in spots where I knew where deer were for rifle season. But when muzzleloader came for New Hampshire, I was pretty tuned in. I could go all day and not feel that like sluggishness.
right.
Where years prior, where I would go pound 9-10 miles, and then the next day I woke up and I got like a sore throat. So
Run
by,
right ragged.
by the time you get back, man, you're tuned right up.
Yeah.
Ready to roll.
It's good for you. Yeah, get you in the shape.
You know, it's
And-
funny. Oh, go ahead.
And it's just, and a lot of guys that are up further north than me get to track a lot more. So you get someone that can track like 15 or so days in a year too. You get more keyed into it too. If I've only got like 2 or 3 days, it's sometimes, you get the perfect snow and then you can't find that track.
Right.
So it's a lot of times that it's a double-edged sword. It's like if you can find that buck, he's in big trouble, but we don't get a lot of track and snow this part of the state. So
Yeah.
You got to capitalize.
when we get it, you got to have all that scouting in there, so you got your really high odds. You can not screw around. You can get in there. You can get in there and find him. And find that particular deer, or you can go look for a total stranger if there's not snow where that particular deer is, but there's snow just 10 miles away.
Right.
I got other areas that are a little bit higher elevation I can go to and find a buck.
Find snow.
Yeah.
But it's hard to go find a different buck when I'm like, I want to kill that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I would say, I mean, just in the time that I've done it, I would say that's probably the hardest part of tracking.
Yeah.
In
Is
my
finding
mind,
the track?
is finding one, especially.
I would
and
agree.
I will say this 100%. Vermont, and it's not because I'm from here. Vermont is the hardest place to find one that's like, at least makes me, because I am stubborn and I am always looking for a giant track.
Yeah.
That for me, it's like Vermont is probably the hardest. Now, yet I haven't done a ton of tracking in the Adirondacks.
I was just gonna say,
so I
I
can't.
think Adirondacks is harder.
I was gonna say I can't quite say that. I would probably say the Adirondacks is probably would be the
Adirondacks
hardest.
for me has been the hardest.
Yeah.
There's just not a lot of big tracks over there.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think the deer, even the big bucks, don't have big tracks.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like even in Vermont, you can still find a good track. Like where you're like, oh, that's a good track,
Right,
But
right.
over there, you're like, wow. I don't know.
Yeah, you
It's
just
like,
have to go by the way he's walking.
Right.
You know, and antler marks in the snow are what usually keep me on the track.
Yeah.
I just want to follow that buck until I see him feed.
put his head down in the snow.
He
and then
he does some ferning or something or eats some mushrooms off of a log, and I can see, 10, 15 inches out there. I can see a tip of a
Right.
beam swept the snow. I'm like, I want to kill that.
You're right.
Imagination
Sight
goes
unseen.
wild.
I can tell you right now that's a deer worth shooting. It's like I can tell by the way he's walking because a lot of these big bucks, especially down in southern Vermont, are 170 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
That's like they're 165 to 180. That's what they are during that November time period.
Right.
And it's like if you killed that deer in October, yeah, he'd be 200 pounds.
Right.
But boy, Thanksgiving, and I would rather track a post-rut buck than a rut buck.
I would agree with that.
10 out of 10 times. You give me a buck from Thanksgiving on, I would much rather track that deer than one if we got snow like November 15th.
Right.
And he's mogging and he doesn't have a doe with him. If he's doe dumb mid-November, he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
But catching one in that little window is really tough because they don't travel a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They're with that hot doe. They've got her pinned down and they're not moving very much. But if you can find him, he's dead. But it's either
It's a different game. It's hard
Yeah,
to find
right.
them like that.
Yeah,
Because they're not moving
It comes
far.
back to Morgan's thing, finding the right track. When you get the snow, because you don't have it for long.
No.
A lot of times it'll warm up and then it'll get crunchy.
Turns
and
to
nasty.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think, it's like I've said in the past, a whole season in Vermont, if I, dedicate, 6-7 days on snow in Vermont, if I can find one good big one,
Yep.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I've seen in the areas that I hunt, the bigger stuff. It's like, we just don't have the numbers of big deer like they do in other places
Right.
in the Northeast. But I think that's what also,
Well,
makes
that's
us
that's
good
the whole part that makes it cool. Is
when you find one. Yeah.
If there was those big ones around every tree, it wouldn't mean as much.
Right.
Right.
And I think that's what breeds such good deer hunters out of the state is
Yeah.
we have to work
Yeah.
really hard to find a big deer if you
Yep.
get to that level.
Right.
Now, I kind of want to go back to when you started hunting. How long did it take you to start to really try to only hunt big deer? How old do you think you were when you started to say, okay, I'm done shooting crotch horns. I'm done shooting 100 inchers. Or not even, I'm not going to say 100 inchers.
It was probably right after that big one. That's when I was just like, man, that's when I started exploring, knocking on doors in Ohio and stuff like that. And
Did you
started seeing some better deer out there and was able to I remember the first time that I passed like a 100-inch 8-pointer during bow season and it walked by.
Were you
I was
like,
it was the
"Oh,
weirdest
man."
feeling in the world. He's walking by and he's standing there 15 yards. I'm like, I'd be killing him right now. And I'd be so happy. But I'm just like, there's bigger deer here, and I gotta learn how to do this. And I just let him walk by, and it was just like the weirdest thing. But it's like it's pretty cool, you know. It's just you're hunting for you, so you're the only person that needs to be happy out there. It's like, what do you
got nothing?
And your
to prove,
goals change. Your goals can change year to year. You don't have to say I'm going to shoot a bigger deer than last year. Every year you can be like the next year you go out, you're just like, I'm just going to try to shoot a mature buck this year in this spot. I mean, they can go back and forth. Everyone's set on like, you got to do better than you did the year before.
I'd hate to be Lee Ellis right now, wouldn't you?
Well, it's just like after a while, a while, you're not going to be happy. You got to, we're doing this for, you know, it's our passion. Just have fun doing it. Man.
That guy keeps one up at himself though.
He does, but you're going to get to a stopping point eventually.
I don't know. He hasn't done it yet. This year he's going to be hunting probably the new world record typical. I don't know. It seems like the progression of him is kind of crazy to watch. Well, at that point,
with the amount of people around him, he's probably got so many people that are tipping him off to giant bucks to find too. It's just a different.
It's a different game at that point.
It's a different deal then. Yeah. For me, half the fun is finding them. You know, finding that really cool, weird buck. You know,
old buck too. I think kind of that's where my head's at nowadays too. It's like
mine has to be.
Yeah, well,
it's not,
in the Northeast,
it's like I want a 5.5+ year old buck.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not,
which I don't think people truly understand just how rare that is. Yeah. Like, I mean, to get 5.5, 6.5, 7.5 years old in the state of Vermont that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Not only hunting seasons, but winters.
Right.
You know, living through the winter, living through coyotes. Yeah.
And Vermonters.
You're right.
Yeah.
Vermonters worse than coyotes.
Yeah. I mean, they were saying like I was at a deer meeting one time and they were saying like central Vermont, that area, they're just like the average buck encounters a hunter during rifle season 2 to 4 times. It's like, how does he get over 2 years old?
Luck.
Like,
luck and the grace of God. Yeah.
They don't. That was
That's why you need that big woods to protect them, or thick woods.
Either that, or they don't rut or something. Like it takes a special one that like doesn't have the urge.
Yeah,
maybe
antisocial.
Yeah, which they're out there.
Yeah,
like you had made a comment that I would also, it aligns what I've seen as well. Is that some of the biggest deer you've hunted in Vermont haven't made a whole lot of sign?
Yeah, Vermont and
I've seen that.
Yeah,
I've seen that time and time again.
Yep.
Find a big one, and the only reason I knew he was there is because I had one picture of him or something.
Yep. Or you find a shed or something that leads you into where he is, or there's one like signpost rub. That's usually if I find a big one, I'll be scouting a new mountain and I'll find a signpost rub and I'll put a camera by it just to see what's there, and it's like there's a giant here,
right,
like, and a pile of other deer working that signpost rub, but there's one that's like he's a genetic miracle,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you were talking about earlier, you have a 8.5-year-old buck from Mass that he's not 100 inches.
Yeah, he's a 6 without brows.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably an 85-inch deer.
I've got like 3 years worth of sheds off him.
You know how many of those there are in the Northeast? More than people think.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when guys kill bucks, and this conversation's been had, but guys kill bucks and they're like, he's 2 or 3.
Yeah.
He could be 11.
No, I knew he was ancient. When I killed him, I was just looking at him. I'm just like, that could be the oldest buck I've ever killed.
And how many guys pass 10-year-old bucks thinking it's a 3-year-old?
Yeah, they just don't. They can't see the body conformation or whatever, And
they don't have the history with them. Maybe it's like,
Well, and that's where the misconception is too, because social media is so.
Size.
Just when you see so many Midwest deer and all of their stuff is talking about all the antler growth between 5.5. We've talked about this multiple times on this podcast, and I know it's been talked about other places too, but there are some times when a buck in Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, places like just doesn't top out more than 100 inches.
No.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
100%.
what they are their whole life. And I would say that's probably the greater majority of them in Vermont.
Yeah. Probably.
You know what I mean? It's especially in certain parts of Vermont.
There's very few that that'll ever get 140 inches of antler on their head.
Oh, very few in my area.
Yeah, you're dropping down into 0%, 1 percentile.
Very low.
Those deer are super rare.
I've got one for you. I actually I might have even asked Isaac on the podcast. We might have talked about this before. I saw one where Lee from Lee and Tiffany had talked about, they have all these farms that they run and stuff like that. And I know this is Midwestern, so it's a little bit
But deer, deer.
Out of the box, right.
Deer,
Deer.
deer.
Lee said that over the years that they've obtained the information of, like, this is what they have noticed, that when a deer makes a huge jump from one year to the next, the year he makes the big jump is the year you want to kill him.
Yeah.
Because he'll never make a jump like that again.
And he'll go down.
Yeah. And he'll start going back the other way.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just curious, because I know you've put so much time. Have you seen that before in some of the bucks that you follow with history?
A lot of them I see, they kind of like maintain it. I haven't seen like a big drastic jump. This year, though, I was talking about a deer that I got a shed from that's behind us.
Yeah.
And he did a pretty good jump. So I don't know. I mean, looking at a picture of him from last year, I would have swore he was like a 4.5, 5.5-year-old deer. And he's put 20 inches on this year. So it's like he did a huge jump. So
Yeah.
that's really like the most significant. But we haven't had acorns in 3 years.
Right.
And now he had a belly full of acorns all winter. They were still eating acorns in March.
Right.
In early April. So I'm assuming that's why I'm seeing such a jump from that deer.
Just nutrition.
Is just nutrition.
Yeah.
I'll be curious.
He had a really good winter, and he had a ton of food all winter, and he was in a good spot.
If you do not kill him, I'll be curious. If you get a picture, I'll have to ask you about it next year and see.
He'll be right there.
Right.
Yeah.
And see if he makes that change. Because I am very interested to see if there's any, if that's a valid point when it comes to that.
Now, I've seen in the Northeast a bunch of times where I'll find a deer, and I don't know if you've seen this, but find one, and it's like, he's like, let's say 135, 140. And you're like, oh, next year he's going to be a giant. And the next year he's less.
Yeah.
I see that. I've seen that more so than the other way.
Right.
It's like you find them at their peak almost, and then it's like
he's probably like 6.5 or whatever.
Yeah,
Right,
and then
right.
next year he's like, because I have one that I have on my mind is a 10-pointer I located a few years ago, and he was like pushing the 140 mark, beautiful. And I was like, man, this next year he's going to be 160. He's going to be like high 50s or whatever. And then nope, right back to like high 20s. Same frame, just lost a bunch. Yeah.
So maybe
you don't know stress and food. He
Right.
could have had a really stressful rut and
And then the following year,
barely survived the winter, and then just was playing catch up.
The following year after that he made the big decline, he just maintained that like high 20s.
So
frame.
maybe there is some validation to it if you think about it that way. Maybe he made that giant jump to the 140 mark, then he dropped back off to the 120s, and then he maintained. But it's hard to say. Like you said, there's so many factors, especially here.
Yeah.
Because the greater majority of the deer around here are not going to be pasteurized or farmland. They're getting their nutrition from what they can get out of the mountains.
They're eating browse, acorns, beech nuts, and apples.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yep.
It's like they don't have any high quality food.
Mushrooms.
Yeah. I mean, they are browsers by nature, but I mean, when you're in the Midwest, it's just a totally different. It's like a totally different animal.
It is,
right.
I would say. Yeah.
I mean, you got deer out there that are 2 years old, and they're going to be over 100, and they can be a Pope and Young buck easily at 2 years old.
Right.
It's just a totally different world.
Yeah, I would say 140 in the Northeast is 170 in the Midwest. I would say comparably.
Well, the thing is, you can just compare the age. Like, what is a 6.5-year-old buck on average in Iowa?
Like probably 170,
he's
180.
Probably going to be pretty decent.
Yeah,
it's
mega.
Like, I mean, there's going to be some that have bad genetics that can just be a big, heavy horned 8-pointer or whatever. But on average, with the food they got and the easy winters and stuff, he's going to be a significant deer.
Oh yeah,
right.
But I mean, just because he's got 180 inches of antler on his head, he's not smarter than a 150 that's back here.
Right.
It's just
just what we
or
got.
even a 100-inch 8-pointer that's back here at 8.5 years old.
Yeah, we just got. That's what we got to deal with in this part of the country.
Right.
That's it.
And I think a lot of it is conducive to the pressure around here too.
Yeah, they get a lot more stress. Gun season. And,
long gun seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's definitely very different. I haven't dipped my toe that much into the Midwestern thing. I would love to do it bow hunting eventually, do some public or door knocking and stuff like that. But I'm also really in love with bow hunting in the mountains too. So it's like fun. I have a hard time leaving.
Yeah.
But if you had to pick one place to hunt, would you pick the Northeast, or would you pick elk hunting? Like what would be your, like, if you could only pick one a season? Like,
Well,
what's your
man, I'll
love?
tell you, chasing elk around in the mountains in September is got to be one of the most exciting things you can do with a bow in your hand.
It's on my
Really?
bucket list. It's on my bucket
It's
list.
really like,
Is it
especially
addicting?
you being obsessed with turkeys.
Yeah,
like,
it's on my bucket list.
I mean,
I want to do
it's
it.
a constant chess match of figuring out what the thermals are doing, and then you can be aggressive, you can not be aggressive, and you're covering a ton of ground, and you're seeing the most beautiful country that we have. I mean, elk don't live in ugly places. It's
Right.
like some of the most beautiful country you can
Like
hike
in a
around.
painting, basically.
Yeah, and you're seeing big velvet mule deer, and you can find mountain lion tracks. It's just an adventure hunting elk. And then when you get one dead, it's just like the smell of them. They smell so cool.
Really?
And then you're breaking it down.
What do
and
they
it's
smell like?
It's like, I don't know, but it's kind of like a pungent, musky, sweet smell. But I mean, you can be walking with the wind in your favor, and all of a sudden it'll hit you like a brick wall. You're like, there's a bull right here.
Really?
Like you can smell him. Like he's right there.
Wow.
And when you're following a herd of elk the whole time, if you got that wind in your favor, you can just smell them the entire time.
You gotta
It's just
think.
really cool.
When a buck stops at a scrape and he pisses on his hocks, that's one thing. An elk will get in a wallow and then he'll piss all over himself, all over his neck.
Yeah. Imagine a rutting buck that's 850 pounds.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Where are your elk racks?
They're in the back. I got some in
okay.
the back room, and I've got some mounted at buddy's old archery shop. And
Cool.
all my elk are. I'll show you some after the podcast.
Yeah, I'll have to take some footage and I'll drop it in, maybe right here. I'll drop it in, and of the heads that you can't see at the camera angle.
Yeah.
And for the listeners as well, we're filming this one again. We just filmed the Todd Mead episode, so we're going to be filming 4 episodes. We're thinking this fall. So if you like watching podcasts, hello.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, that's cool stuff. I would love to go out and try my hand at it at some point.
I just love I love both. You know, like the elk is a good primer for me for getting in shape for deer season. You know, you go out there and you're hiking around those mountains for. I mean, when I was in my 20s, we'd just go out there and stay the whole month of September.
Really?
And it was like we'd come back and you'd be as tough as nails. You know, it's like you're hiking around a 10,000 foot elevation for a solid month. It's like, okay,
you come back in these little hills.
I'm ready to chase some deer around. You know, and it's
that was the other thing I was going to ask you too. When you're hiking around at those heights, I mean, the oxygen level as you get higher is getting way less out there too.
It's a weird.
You get winded faster.
It's a weird experience. Yeah, it's really like you can't catch that last breath.
Yeah,
it's just, you can't do what you can do back here. Like you're trying to run up that hill and. It's like, man, it doesn't seem that steep. But it's just, there's no
back here.
You just can't get the breath. You know?
Now, will you stay in the mountains, like camp?
Yeah, we usually would camp right in the mountains. Yep.
What would you eat in the mountains?
A lot of freeze dried stuff.
Which has come a long way.
Yeah.
It's pretty good stuff nowadays.
You know, in the early days, we'd just take most dry food as possible, a lot of jerky and stuff, and then I'd have a small game license. We'd shoot grouse
and just live on that.
Yeah, and when we kill, if somebody kills an elk or whatever,
that sounds
that
like a lot of fun, man.
That is badass.
Take a fishing rod, catch some brook trout. You know,
that's living.
It was the best years of my life in the 20s. Like when we were in Colorado for the entire month, and it was awesome.
I'm envious. That is like a dream.
That's why you got to do it when you're young. Like there's people that haven't, and I'm just like, man, you should go experience it. It's pretty awesome.
Right.
It's really different now after COVID. And
has it changed a lot, you think?
There's a lot more pressure. There's a lot more people doing it. There's just a lot of videos out, kind of telling people how to do it. And now the huge game changer that people don't really talk about is mapping on your phone.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, now you got people that are back in there 4, 5, 6 miles, and they're not afraid of getting lost.
It's really cut the woodsmanship skills
well, it's just,
out of it.
It's given people the courage to do it, to actually go in there. Before, like when I first went to Colorado, it was just paper maps and compass, and we had I had a Garmin E-Trex
and balls.
Garmin E-Trex. And it didn't, the Garmin E-Trex didn't even have any contour lines on it. It would just tell you, like, you'd have a waypoint. You're like, oh, yeah, that's the truck.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, it's
to and from
4.7 miles at this heading. Okay, yeah, well, it doesn't tell you that there's a mountain
or a
that you
cliff.
have to go
Right.
around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's all stuff you had to figure out. But now you can. Well, the big thing about it now is people can e-scout an area, and they can pretty much have a really good lay of the land, figure out how it is before they even get there. It's really cool to go back. Like, I hadn't hunted my old stomping grounds in Colorado in 11 years. I hadn't been back there with my buddy that I used to elk hunt with. He had kids and everything, and he couldn't go. And when we got back there, and then I'm looking at it all on Onyx, and I'm just like, no wonder we always ran into elk. Like, that one hole down in there, look at all the water, and look at all those bed and benches. Yeah, that's where we always ran into them, and because you could really see it on the Onyx,
right,
and it would show all the water and all the trails and stuff. And I'm like, man, we were dumb for packing elk that way. Like, now there's a trail right over there. Like, we could pack elk just like a mile to the trail right over there. You know, you can see stuff laid out so much.
It's made it
nicer.
a lot easier.
Yeah,
and now it's an ever changing evolution too. Because I just saw something the other day. Somebody posted of Onyx updating all of their stuff now to the new linear lines or whatever it is.
The shading with the
the LiDAR and stuff.
Yeah.
I think Spartan Forge has been doing that for a while.
Have they
now,
for a while?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty soon you're going to be able to just like put on a VR headset and just like go scope it out and e-scout it from your couch.
You'll virtually be there.
Yeah, virtually be there and be like, oh yeah, this looks like a nice area. And then take the VR off, eat dinner, and fly out, and you already know what it looks like.
Right. Yeah. No, it's cool. Just the stuff that I saw out there, like, walking in that dark timber and finding a gigantic set of mule deer sheds, and it's like how many people have ever seen that mule deer buck? It's like it's a huge set of sheds, and finding mountain lion tracks near wallows.
Have you ever seen one?
I have not seen one, but I've seen tons of tracks.
So they're clever. That's probably why I haven't seen one.
That's the whole thing. Me going out there and guiding for my buddy in Idaho is I want to go out there and do a mountain lion hunt. And he's been out there for years, and he's just like, I've only seen 2 mountain lions that weren't being chased by dogs or in a trap. He's like, in all my years of being out here. He's like, you just don't see them. We see tons of tracks, but you just don't see them.
Night prowlers.
Yeah. So
that's
why it's so, like, when I hear people say they see them back here, it's like, man, there's some people that claim to have seen like 2 or 3 of them. Right. And I'm just like, man, I used to trap a lot. That was the other thing. Like, I would hunt all fall, and then fur prices were really good, so I would trap all December.
Right.
For fisher and bobcat and beaver and otter, all the real high dollar animals and stuff. And I mean, I'd be running a trap line that was 60, 70 miles long.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's like, I know what a mountain lion track looks like, and I just never, in all those years, the whole month of December, I would trap, and I never have seen anything that would tell me that they were there. But I mean, it's like,
that just made a huge point. I mean, think about the amount of guys every November and December that are out tracking deer all across,
and have
never crossed
Adirondacks everywhere.
I mean, once in a great while, you'll see somebody that'll post a picture of, what is this?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not out of the realm that one could be passing through, but it's not like they're not living here.
Yeah.
They used to be.
Oh, yeah.
We killed them all.
Yeah.
But it's just cool to be out west where that stuff is. You got, like, in Idaho this past year, I saw bighorn rams, and we were finding arrowheads.
Yeah.
Like, that's just really cool.
Big Indian grounds out there.
Yeah, it's just they were hunting everywhere. You get near a spring or whatever, and you're seeing chips of obsidian everywhere, and I was like, oh, there's an arrowhead right there. It's like perfect.
Wow.
It's like that could be 10,000 years old. Another bow hunter was trying to shoot an elk or an antelope or whatever by this water hole.
Wow.
It's like, what is the story behind that?
Right.
The big thing for me too is, like, even when my buddy James and I used to take the trips out west, people always talk about going to, like, Ireland and all of these other places to sightsee and see all these beautiful places, and people truly overlook what we have here.
And it's all public. There's like so much public land out there to explore. It's crazy.
And it's and it's different. Like the clay, the landscape. Like, you drive on a road out there, On a dirt road, you can take it to the car wash and wash dirt off your car. Here, you go out and get clay from out there on your truck, and it's there for months.
It's like an undercoat. Yeah, it's like an undercoat. It'll stay from Colorado all the way back here into the deer season.
But it definitely is. I mean, that's what made me bring it up, is thinking of the elevation difference out there compared to here, and what you feel like just when you're walking. Yeah, I mean, it is definitely. And that was what I was going to ask you. When you're doing your gym stuff and you're training, do you ever get one of those masks?
I've never done that. I just figure if you got good cardiovascular, like I go to the gym for strength training and stuff, and then ruck with a pack on.
Yeah,
that was like the best practice. The best practice for hiking around with a pack on is hiking around with a pack on.
Yeah,
just really focusing on your cardio and just getting your cardio really tuned up.
Yeah, and
makes sense.
Yeah,
yeah.
But I mean, I'd love to go out there and hunt the whitetails that are in northern Montana, Idaho.
Me too.
We've talked about that. I mean, especially on years when there's snow. But I've also talked to guys that do, and they're like, it's not quite like you would think it is. Yeah, there's a lot of big deer out here.
Not necessarily those big feet.
But there's so many deer. Yeah. Like, it's hard. It's kind of hard to navigate.
They're legit herds.
Right, right.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's a herd of deer.
Yeah, because Tom Blaze is out there in that northern Montana area, and then Corey goes up and hunts, like, in Idaho and stuff. And it's just pretty cool. Those guys are both from back here in Vermont, and they do really well out there.
Oh yeah.
And the deer have gigantic antlers. I mean, they're shooting 160s, right? Tracking them or just killing them up in the mountains, and it's all high elevation. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
that would be really unique.
Yeah.
I feel like it's
Well,
something that's not I mean, it's talked about, but it's kind of overlooked in a lot of ways.
Right.
I think.
And I've always said that too. For me, and it's not for everybody, but like I picture myself, if I'm going to go out there and hunt, I don't want to do it the easy way. I want to do it the hard way. And if I fail, it's because of myself. But I want to do the pack-in hunt. I want to, I want to go hunt elk on their place. This is nothing against outfitters, but I want the struggle. I want to struggle to see the success. If I have to fail a year to gain success on another, then
there's a lot of guys that they do the outfitter thing for 1 year to kind of see what it's about, to dip their toe in it, and see how people call and how they move on elk and stuff, and then they're just like, all right, I'm going to try it on my own next year.
Gotcha.
Yeah, see that quite a bit. But I mean, the guy that I guided this year in Idaho, he'd been, I think, 3 or 4 times. He'd never even come close to killing an elk, and I had a bull screaming at like 20 yards in front of him, and he was a full draw. And I don't know if he just needed to take a step left or right to make. I mean, I could see the bull right in front of him, and he was at full draw, and I'm like 50 yards behind him calling. I'm just like, any second he's going to shoot. And I don't know if he got just so spun up. He didn't dare. It was a 300 inch. It was a 300 plus. It was a beautiful bull. And I mean, it was screaming in his face, and I just think he got so wound up. And then when it all kind of fell apart, and the bull turned because he didn't see a cow, and he didn't smell us, but he turned and he just walked back into all the cows that were just like 80 yards away. We'd kind of worked him out of that herd, and the guy was just like, "I can go home. I'm totally good." Like that's exactly what I want. That's exactly what I wanted. Yeah. He's just like, I don't care that I didn't kill him. That's what I wanted. I wanted a bull screaming in my face. I could smell him. Like, dude, he was just so spun up. He's just like, that's all I wanted right there. Like, although I didn't kill him. And I'm just like, we still got like 2 days to hunt. He's just like, doesn't matter. That made the trip. I don't care what happens from now on.
Well, he's doing it for the right
reason.
So
it's like, he did it for the right reason. He was there he wanted that full experience of a bull coming in and screaming, and there's nothing like it. It's so loud, and they're like this big, giant, athletic.
It's like
buck.
A dinosaur.
Right. Yeah. Well, if you didn't know what was coming up through the woods, the last thing you would think is it was something without canine teeth. It's like they're so loud. You would think this giant monster is going to come walking.
Right.
You,
Well, and the other thing,
cool.
I can't even imagine.
The other thing for them too is I watched a thing on this. I can't remember exactly the comparison, but the nose receptors in an elk compared to a deer, like one little slight wind change, that bull could go silent and completely be gone.
Yeah, he'll be coming in making all kinds of noise, bugling. Man, the thermal switch, or you just get a little errant breeze towards him, and it's just like,
yeah.
And the woods there's you can all you can hear is your own heartbeat.
Right.
Like that bull's just gone.
Yeah.
You just swap that, it's gone.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's like they're keyed up. They're really cool. But
That's something I gotta do.
It's a cool thing to just go from that to deer hunting and go into the bow hunting aspect of it, and then you roll in it. I like all of them, how everything rolls together. It's like a different time of the year. Like it's getting to be late November now. I really want some snow. I want to go track one.
Right.
But October, I want to find some. I want to shoot a buck with a scrape over a bow. With a bow over a scrape.
Right.
It's just look forward to the next thing and just hunt them. Whatever gives you the best odds for killing.
To me, what speaks highly for me, because I've always had a deep amount of respect for you too, and the way that you do, and this just shows me the intelligence of the woodsmanship that you have. Though, is any time that I've ever talked to you about hunting, the things that you've pointed out to me is knowing when is the right time.
Yeah,
like you said, I don't hunt Vermont because I know my odds are better in other places until I have snow. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, I'm all in.
Yeah.
But like if until that time comes, you've got scrapes or you've got other things that you're going to target in places like Massachusetts or New Jersey or you have everything planned so because of the amount of time that your woodsmanship is actually creating your path for you. And I think that says a lot about who you are and being able
you're playing your odds in your best favor. I mean, I think hunting, a lot of it boils down to your odds, and you have to get lucky.
And a lot of it's the, having a particular mountain. Some mountains are conducive to bow hunting and some aren't.
Right.
There's a lot of people that are just like, man, I got this really big buck on this mountain and I just can't figure out how I can get him in bow range, or I can't figure out where to hang a stand in there. And I'm just like, well, man, where that buck lives, that's probably a deer you got to have snow on the ground, or you hunt him with a gun. It's like I find the number one thing I'm looking at when I'm trying to find an area to bow hunt is I like steep terrain. I like to be able to find some visual pinch points on there, and you got some cover transitions, and you know where the food is, and you know where good bedding, and there's a bunch of good benches. Like it's conducive to bow hunting. You can figure out how deer are moving on that mountain. But I've got some other big mountains that are fairly featureless. There's some good benches for bedding and stuff like that, but there's not really good pinch points on it or whatever. But man, that's where I go to track. That's where I go when there's snow on the ground late season, because it's all oak, and I know there'll be deer piling in there. And I pick a bunch of sheds up there, so it's like I don't bother trying to bow hunt that spot, but that's my go-to late season spot.
Right.
And you got to have different mountains that are conducive to a certain style of hunting. Like not everywhere is a bow hunting spot. Just
That's
like
wisdom.
not everywhere is a good tracking spot, because it may be really flat. I like to have some terrain so I can kind of get above them, or
right.
whatever,
Yeah, and
even when I'm tracking.
Well,
that's really advanced.
Yeah,
like
and
the way you're talking is
understanding your thermals, how they play off those benches and stuff like that too. Because a lot of times, what I've found is, in the times that I've bow hunted, a lot of times I really do think what hasn't worked for me in the past is not having a great wind to try to hunt a stand on a mountain deer.
Or it's your approach.
Yeah.
Your approach is 90% of killing them,
right.
I think.
Just because, the wind's constantly shifting and swirling and all, trying to target all those areas like you were talking about. So the other thing that for me, I think a lot of that has to do with the type of people. And I know he's like that. I'm kind of like that, but not everybody is nomadic. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They have their spots, and I think that's a lot of old school stuff too. Sure. Because I had a lot of old timers tell me back in the day that if you sit that stand long enough, you'll kill him.
Yeah, you can.
It is true.
Yeah, you can, but it's like,
do you want to kill one that way?
Right.
That's what it comes down to.
Right, and for me, I've always found, and I know you've mentioned this too, is I started noticing it a lot when I started really putting my time into deer hunting after like 2019. Like you said, I can relate a lot to that. Once you kill that first big one, it's kind of like, a switch kind of snaps inside of you. Is I was having more success seeing deer on my first sits.
Yeah.
And then the more I kept sitting there, it was like, unless it was one of those spots that just was...
Unless you have a real good, clean entrance and exit.
Right.
Yeah. And it's
huge.
really rare to have.
First set, best set.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so building off of this conversation that we're having, I want you to break down how you killed that big 5-pointer in detail because you've told me before, I don't know if you've told it on a podcast, but it's kind of fascinating to me in a way because how you killed that deer was not like an obvious thing that you did to kill. You know what I mean? Like it was like a built up over time. Yeah. And I've noticed with really good deer hunters like yourself, you're not going to kill them all the time like that.
No.
But once in a while you kill a big giant like that. And it's like, can you kind of explain why you sat where you did and why you did what you did?
Yeah, I mean, that deer was driving me nuts during bow season. It's like I would get pictures of him working a scrape or chasing a doe around early November, and I never seen him. I was just getting the pictures of him. I'm like, man, that deer's 2 feet wide, and it was on a Sunday. We got snow on a Saturday, and it was Vermont rifle season, and I killed a really good buck in Vermont that Saturday. And I was just like, I should get down there. I got to look around since there's only a skiff of snow down there. But I was just like, I got to figure out there's like a piece of the puzzle that I'm missing with that big buck. And he's getting by me. And I got to figure out where, because I know he's a big deer. He's got a big foot on him. And I got down there on that Sunday when no one was hunting, so I didn't have to worry about bumping him. And the first day of shotgun season was the next day. And I got down there and I got walking around. I found his track. And I'm like, there he is. He just worked that scrape right there. And I actually figured out how that deer was approaching that bedroom, and it was totally different than what I thought. And I was just like, that makes now.
It wasn't obvious, right?
No, I wouldn't have killed him without the snow.
Exactly.
And I saw how he was doing that, and I didn't even go into that bedroom. I was just like, I see how he's doing it now, and he's hooking it. He's smelling me when I was hunting the edge of this bed area because I was over there, and he was just how they do stuff totally different than any other deer. And he's 6.5 years old.
Yeah, and I want to pause you right there before you continue. Going down there on the Sunday with a little bit of snow, that is next level. Yeah. That is why you killed
driving
that deer.
Driving
that
all
is
the way
why
down
you have the wall you have, and that's why, that's why we're talking to you right now about this stuff, because that is so next level. Yeah. To go down on a day that you can't hunt it and be like, oh, I'm gonna go see where he's at. See what he's doing. But anyways.
And so I went in there and I hung a stand and got in there. I actually had the stand on my back and I hung the stand how I needed to kill him. And I'm just like, this snow is gonna be gone tomorrow, but I know how to kill him out of a stand now. I bet he's gonna do the same. I'll sit here 2 days and I bet I'll see him in one of these mornings because I know how to approach it. I gotta have a different approach now. And I mean, I hung that stand and I got in that stand right at daylight that next day, and I shot him at 7:45 that morning, walking into that bedroom. Yeah. And he was, it was, I couldn't believe it. Like, still, even putting all that time into scouting him and everything, and I was so confident I was going to kill that deer, I still couldn't believe it when I could see him coming. I was just like, holy shit, I'm going to kill the wide 5.
Well, it's a cat and mouse.
Like, I got him, and I got a gun in my hands. Yeah. Like, I mean, as soon as he hits an opening, dude, he's getting it. And he stopped in an opening at like 50 yards, double lunged him, and there was another buck behind him that was every bit as big. It was an 8-pointer. They were running together quite a bit, and I just didn't even bother looking at that other buck. I just watched him run right by the stand and collapse and die right there.
Wow.
And it was just like, that's awesome. Cool as hell, and I get out of the stand and I go down there and I'm looking at the deer and I'm just like, I should call my cousins and have them, they want to see this buck. And I remember my cousin came down there, and him and his son was just like, man, what the hell made you hang a stand in here?
See,
so there was no sign.
That's the key that I love about this story.
And there was like no sign. He was just like, what would make you? Because it was like this strip of like like weird pines, and then the hill dropped right off, and it was just all blowdowns, and there was hardly any deer sign in there. But that big prick was going through there. That's how he was doing it.
Right.
And it was just I needed that snow to figure out like he's walking this edge. This is how he's doing it, and he did it again, and that's how I killed him.
You out-clevered the clever beast.
Yeah, it was, and that's heavily hunted. I mean, tons of hunting pressure.
And I'm
sure there were 15 people that heard that gun go off at 8:00 in the morning.
So that's probably why he chose that, though.
Yeah, no one else had figured it out. He wasn't hooking any trees. He wasn't leaving any sign.
Bingo.
The scrape that I was getting him on, and the picture of him on, was almost 3/4 of a mile from there. But he was hitting that scrape an hour. I was just like, how far is he going in an hour? Because he was hitting that scrape an hour before daylight in the morning, and he was just picking his way through that nasty stuff to get to that one bedding spot.
Yeah.
And see, that's how deadly it is when you have a good
And
bow
it
hunter
all
who's
just
also
came
a
together.
tracker.
Yeah.
Because he went down and he combined it. He's like, I'm going to track him a little bit.
And he had these big. I knew he was a big deer. He had he had really big feet. He was like 190 pounds, and he was just all rutted out.
Not only that, too, what stands out to me is to take a Sunday when there's multiple other states open to hunt.
Yeah.
You still took it on the chin and said, you know what, I'm not going to go hunt somewhere else today.
And I was exhausted because I'd shot a deer and dragged it out like 2 miles the day before.
Right.
Like, I got to get down there and see what that big 5 is doing. And then I was like, how cool would it be to have 2 big bucks hanging in the garage at the same, in 2 days of hunting.
That's because something programmed different up
Yeah.
there. You know what I mean?
I really wanted him.
Right.
Like, that was my number one deer for the year.
Right.
It's like I didn't really, I could go hunt a different deer, but man, I get hung up on certain deer, and I'd never shot a 5-pointer that was 24 inches wide before.
Right.
Like, how many of them are you going to find? It's really cool.
And like you said, it's a game of pleasing yourself. I mean, you know what? He's not the highest scoring deer, but he is. I've never the coolest character. You know what I mean? It's the.
I think only like 2 or 3 deer in this whole room have ever had a tape put on them. I've never measured anything. Like I don't. It's just memories for me.
Yeah, it's not what it's about for you.
It's just.
But I mean, it's even like, to me, a deer like that one there, and that's a muzzleloader buck that you killed a couple of years ago now, right?
Oh, quite a few years ago, yeah.
09?
Yeah, he was a while ago, yeah.
Yeah, so, but I mean, to me, the coolest part of that whole buck is his character. Like, having that one side, like, almost like a guy
And he was like that for all 3 years that I knew of him existing.
He reminds me of a guy that chopped all of his fingers off with an axe. And they just had to sew them back and they stumpy like that.
Yeah, they're really weird.
Yeah.
You know my theory?
What made them do that every year?
I have a theory. I do.
We are on the big buck theory.
I have a theory.
That's what it's about.
My theory is he had something wrong with his neck, and when he would feed, he would really favor that side.
He might,
and dig his antlers into the side when he was trying to feed.
He would do that injury in velvet every year. Maybe.
Yes. That's kind of when I see a rack like that, that's where my mind goes.
Yeah.
Because also, like one of my biggest buck I ever killed, his whole rack leans like this.
Yeah.
The whole rack. Left side leans that way, the tines lean that way, and the right side.
It's like when he was sleeping, he was like this, and then the antlers were growing straight up.
Exactly. When he would sleep the same way when he was growing. And I think a lot of the racks are, it's when they're growing, they're soft.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like if they have habits or characteristics about their personality, it will literally mold the racks to that.
Well, I mean,
way,
it kind of goes back to that shed you found this year that you have multiple sheds of, and how it has the hole in the same spot, and it's not a botfly hole.
Dude, he's got a hole
in the same spot.
I think I probably showed you on a hunt stock. He's got the hole in the same spot 3 years apart.
So that's a genetic.
Yeah,
or
what
it's
I've
something
heard,
he's doing.
If they injure their antlers in velvet, it will have memory year to year. So they'll grow back.
Or he has a body injury.
That's what I was thinking. Is that somewhere along the lines, whether he got hit by a car or got hooked up in a fight with another buck or something, and he injured that one side of his body.
But to me, that buck there, those look like he did that
in velvet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they look like they were ground down in the dirt.
Yeah, they look like they're broomed off like a sheep horn, like a sheep horn or something.
Huh. He's a 140s buck, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he was just under 143.
42, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if he'd have had a left side like his right, he would have been a close to 150 8-pointer.
Yeah.
Cuz he's got like a 12-inch G2 and like a 9 and something.
I mean, that's an incredible time.
Yeah.
For a Vermont.
And he's got big brows for a Vermont deer.
Yeah.
No, that's cool, man.
Shot him right in his bed. That was a really cool hunt.
Tracking or
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep. Yeah, he was was with a hot doe, and I actually tracked him into this clear cut, and I jumped him in the doe and shot at him and missed him running. Well, they hooked around, and the wind was like cutting right up the mountain. They got out of that cut and they went up the mountain, and I was like, I know how I can cut him off. There's like a little bit of a power line up there. So I ran, and I'm like in a boiling sweat up there, and it's snowing really hard. And I remember I got up to that power line, and I'm like, it's like, hopefully I can pull it off. And I get down to where I know the deer are going to cross the power line, and there's a track running across, and I'm like, that's just the doe. So I'm like just standing there, and she just like stiff walked across the power line. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to kill him at like 20 yards when he puffs out of those spruces right there. He's going to be right on her track. And it's snowing like over an inch an hour. And I remember I was just standing there in that snow, standing there. And then pretty soon it was just like, holy shit, like I can hardly see that doe's track. Like maybe I didn't miss him when I shot at him down there, and I should backtrack her down there and figure out what the hell he's doing, because it's all thick spruce down there. And I'm just like, now I got the wind in my favor. Like maybe he's down there dead. Maybe I hit him. Like, I don't know. So I started following her track back down there, and I got right. There was a really good bench coming up that I'd jumped deer on in the past, and it was like a stone wall, and I could see where she jumped over that stone wall, and there was no good spot for me to cross it without making a lot of noise. And I remember just looking down like where the track came from, and I see something move, and I'm just like, what was that? And I see it move again. I'm like, that's an antler. I brought the muzzleloader up, and he's just laying there in his bed.
Looking back down his backtrack?
Yeah, just laying there looking, and it was snow all over his back. Snow all over his back and everything. Just dropped right there, shot, and he just snow plows out of his bed and ran just out of sight and was dead. I never touched him when I shot him that first time. He was just exhausted. It was middle of December.
Right.
It was
but it worked out in that way too, though, because he had bedded looking back down his backtrack waiting for you.
He would have smelled me.
Oh, but you never touched him though?
I never touched him no.
So then what happened? You just got on him and caught him?
No, I caught her track, that doe.
He backtracked the doe.
I backtracked the doe back down.
I thought you meant you didn't hit him on that first shot.
No, I didn't hit him on the first one because I tracked him up into a clear cut and shot at him running.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, I didn't catch that first part.
Right,
okay.
right.
You shot at him
and
the
then,
first time.
But when I got there, that was
in the bed he didn't get up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He got up and just ran out of sight, but that was the only time. That was the only bullet that hit him.
Gotcha.
That's awesome.
But he'd left that doe. She just continued up that mountain, and he was just
enough.
so he just let her go. But he was laying there. He had every wind advantage if I continued on that track, and I think he was just tired. And he's just like, if whatever that was keeps following my track, I'm going to smell it before I ever see it, and then I'll, So if I'd have just followed on that track, I would have I would have chased him some more that day, bare minimum.
Have you done that a few times? Cut loops
a couple
on bucks?
times.
Yeah.
If I only do it if I really know the woods really good and I know what's ahead of me, I probably wouldn't ever cut on a deer if I didn't know what was ahead of me. But if it's a piece of woods that I really know well, and especially if it's a particular deer that I'm hunting and I got an idea what he wants to do anyways, then 100% I'll cut on him. Yeah.
That would make sense, especially
I gotta know what's ahead of me though.
Right. Yeah. Especially I would think like in a spot that you've tracked multiple times and you're on a buck that does something similar every time, like he has one exit route.
Yeah.
If you bump him out of a bed and you can get to that exit route before he does.
Or you can track a buck into an area. I mean, I've tracked bucks into area where I've killed bucks years previous and they're bedded in the same spot again.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm just like, man, I'm not following him up into that bed near. I got a feeling they're gonna be right on that bench. And I've slabbed around and killed that deer.
Yeah.
And I was just like, man, I might not have killed him if I'd have stayed on his track, but I knew they liked to bed on that bench.
Right.
That's tracking in the mountains.
Yeah.
You have to get clever. And
Yeah.
I think, being able to swing on bucks is
the steeper it is, the better
deadly.
you can do it.
Right.
Yeah, like so one of the best bucks I've ever killed tracking, I cut on.
Yeah.
I cut a loop on him and ended up catching him. And I had never been in that piece of woods ever before, only just to scout. But the only reason that led me back to where I cut a loop on is he went through that spot early in the morning, and then he went back through that spot in the afternoon or whatever. And then when I jumped him, I was like, wow, he liked that spot, and I met him there. Caught a big loop, and here he comes. Boop. He jumped down off the mountain. He was doing a loop, and he just liked that one little finger. But it was real steep and gnarly up in there, so it's like it was almost just perfect travel route.
If you hadn't have killed that deer, and that would have been like that comes back to bow hunting the mountains. From tracking deer in those mountains and following them around and seeing them do that kind of shit 2 or 3, 4 times. Put a waypoint down, like you just learned something during the route, especially if you weren't moving him and he was doing that all on his own. I found some of my best bow hunting spots by tracking deer. And even if you kill the deer, like you track a buck and he goes through beautiful pinch point, you know, and you can see where he's been through there a couple times, and then you end up killing him. Just be like, there's going to be another buck in here doing that same thing.
Sure.
I just got to figure out, you know, just keep track on it, check in on it, and there's another good one in there.
Right.
He's going to be doing that same thing again.
In that same
and
place.
They generally are like.
And see, he had that buck that I'm talking about, that he had a hot doe in there.
Yeah.
So he was going crazy up in there.
Yeah.
And he was doing all sorts of stuff. And my mind goes to, bucks are probably going to push does up into that place
every year.
Because
the doe's not going to be dead.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be that
and
same doe.
I've heard you on the Just Hunt Club podcast talk more on the doe side of things.
100%.
And that's next level thinking as well. You know, a lot of guys don't think that far. They're
Some
just
of them
hunting
does
bucks.
are 14, 15 years old.
Right.
They could be 20.
Yes. So she's comfortable
Yeah.
going to those places. So now
Yep.
I really, truly believe that in some of the big mountains, does and bucks will do their breeding way up, like in the nosebleeds. And I have confirmation from guys who work ski areas that have told me that, you know, that have worked ski areas for 20, 30 years or whatever, and that they've noticed every year during the rut, they'll see a big, huge buck, like literally 4,200 feet, pushing a doe around.
Yep.
Right.
Way up top. And then that one I killed was way up high like that too with a doe.
Yeah.
And I think they don't want to be there all the time.
Yeah.
Like that's not great place
Especially
for them
the
to be.
doe.
No.
The doe doesn't want to, she's not living up there.
But if they get a hot doe and they start nosing her, she's going to go up.
Right.
You know, and for whatever reason, they feel comfortable up there. They feel safe up there. It makes sense. I mean, who's going up there?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like there's really not a lot going on up there.
Well,
so.
I've actually read an article about that written by a guy talking about that if a doe gets pushed hard enough, especially by multiple bucks, she has a place in mind where she feels comfortable to escape to. And then at that point, it's just what buck wants to stick with her long enough to find her again.
Mm-hmm.
But I will often wonder if a lot of times that doe does go up there to get away from the pressure because she doesn't want to be
it's hide
pestered.
and seek, dude.
Right.
You know, like when I'm tracking some of these bucks with does, it's what it is. He's just, it's hide and seek. Like she's trying to get away from him. He's trying to stick on her. And that's just, they're playing a game.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, those are my favorite ones to get on because they're pretty dumb, it seems like. But
yeah, well, that wide buck behind me, that buck was with a hot doe, and that's what killed him. I tracked him the day before, and it was just like I never really caught up to him. He was just cruising through that piece of woods, and he was nudging some does around, but he wasn't sticking with any of them. So I was just like, I know he's on there. I ran out of daylight that day. I'm like, I'm gonna get right back up in there the next day. I got back in there before daylight, hiking up onto that mountain, and there's his track in the dark. So I stood there, got daylight, followed his track, and he was by himself again, and he was cruising out that ridge. Pretty soon, I got to the top of the mountain, and there was an old cut in there, probably 3 or 4 years old, and there were deer everywhere. I could see like 5 or 6, 7 deer. I'm just like, that's a pile of deer for here. And I'm watching all those deer. I'm like, he's right here. I'm going to kill him any second. He's just going to come walking into view because some of the does were bedded, some were browsing. And I watched all those deer for probably 20 minutes, and then eventually they got up and they just kind of browsed out through that cut and went down over the bank. And I was just like, guess he ain't here. And he had a huge foot on him. He was the first deer that I put on scales. It was 200 in Vermont, that wide one.
that's awesome.
And so I followed his track, and he went right through all those deer. And you can see where he just went to the different does and just weaved right through them and then left them. I'm just like, man, he's going to do the same thing he was doing yesterday. He was just buzzing by all the does, and none of them are in heat. He's probably already bred them all. It's Thanksgiving week, so there's less. And he got down off the backside, and there was a single doe that was bedded up in this drainage all by herself. And he freaking jumped that doe, and it was just chaos. He was just chasing her all over the place, and then you'd see where he'd just branch off from her, and he'd just massacre a tree, and there'd be bark all over the snow. And then he'd get chasing her around again, then he'd just branch off, and he'd just rake a tree and just, bark. He was all frustrated because she wouldn't stand for him.
Mad,
she was running, got into another clear cut, probably about a mile away, and tracks everywhere. You could just see where he'd run through this one spot with that doe 2 or 3 times, and I'm just like, I'm done tracking.
Yeah,
I'm standing right here until dark. I didn't have to stand there for 20 seconds, and then here comes a doe with her tail halfway up in the air, right, and I'm just like, that's the doe right there. I guarantee, and boom, big wide rack.
Here he comes,
running right, and it was just
That's That's
see,
freaking
that
badass.
right there.
It was just, and then the shooting started.
Oh,
You know,
yeah,
and
that-
boom, boom,
but
boom,
that-
boom.
Oh, yeah.
That what you said
Got
in your
him.
head, I'm done tracking. I'm going to kill him right here.
Yeah.
You know, I
If
think
you'd have
that
kept
is-
walking into that cut,
or
then
cut
you'd
a big loop.
Yeah.
You could have bumped him.
I'm
or
done
you-
tracking. I knew what was ahead of me. I'm like, this is like a 20-acre clear cut. He's got her right in this beach brush, and they've gone through this spot like 5 times. I mean, I'm not going anywhere. I can see 60, 70 yards.
Yep.
I didn't have to stand there 20 seconds, and here he comes.
And you know, I think that is such like a clutch move on your end.
There's so many little decisions that
Yes,
could change
but,
the outcome.
Like to just be a one way, like I'm gonna, and I'm not trying to call someone out, but like it's like one way. I'm just gonna track. But it's like sometimes when you get them into that barnyard and it's hot, it's like just put the brakes on, pick your head up, dude.
But timing,
You know?
what would just 15 minutes, 10 minutes of timing done differently? If I always think about this, like later on, it drives you nuts.
Yeah.
I was like, if I was following him and then I saw that big group of deer, what if one of those does had seen me and then like boogered and they all ran down over that mountain, and then I wasn't there watching him for like 20 minutes, and then I followed on his track. Like, where would I have caught up to him in that mess?
Right.
All your ducks have
You
to
know,
line
like
up in a row.
there's so many little things that have to come together for that opportunity to work.
But then how many times, because I know I'm speaking for myself here, how many times have you tracked him into that barnyard and said, oh, I'm going to kill him right here, and then don't kill him? 'Cause
Yeah.
I've done that a lot.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
I've done
Yeah,
that
it
a
does.
lot.
It
I was
has
standing there,
to.
freeze my ass off because I'm dressed to track and I'm standing there and it's
Yeah.
10 degrees. I'm like, come on, where are
Yeah.
you? You know,
I
I'm like,
usually have 25, 30 minutes I can stand if it's cold.
Yeah.
When you're tracking, because
Right.
I'm dressed light. I'm not sweating a lot, but I'm dressed really light. I'm not dressed for
no,
sitting there.
no.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're dressed to be an athlete that day.
I'm dressed to move.
Yes.
Like I gotta even I can do slow all day. I could move and I could still hunt slow all day, but I can't sit for 30, 40 minutes,
Right.
50 if it's like 20 degrees or colder.
Those
Can't
but,
do it.
But a lot of times I think this is where the misconception comes is people are like, you know, this is the stuff you're going to know. You're going to, you know, you can listen to a podcast or read it in a book and they're going to know it, right?
You have to mess up to
It's-
learn.
It's
Yeah.
experience. You have to experience it to know when it is, cuz to me those little things are probably the hardest things to learn in the tracking game.
They're instincts.
Right.
Yeah.
And
you got to
I-
learn to trust your gut.
Right.
Yes. And
To-
I do believe, too, on that point that you just made, some people are born with gifted instincts and some people are not. And
This
I
is-
think that's
And
personality.
some people just overthink it.
And
or,
I'll
or
reference-
they'll go back and forth and rack in their brain, and then they're going to second guess themselves. And it's like you got to learn to trust your gut. Your gut
Right.
is usually really good,
yeah.
but
And I'll
you've got to
refer-
learn to listen to it, and it'll get better. It'll get sharper. you
Right.
know.
I'll reference something to that too. You always hear about people in sports talking about basketball IQ, baseball IQ, like a guy that knows an infield fly rule that will drop a ball and get a double play out of it or different things. That's deer IQ.
Yeah.
Like knowing when to do that stuff and when not to. And it can be learned, but you have a valid point that, and I've said this about some people are good about shooting, some people are born with it. They
Dude,
just have
I've
it. Some
seen it,
people
yeah.
have to work through it.
Yep.
Some people are born
Some people
with it.
have the instincts, and I also think, like I've noticed, I've tried to pick up on like guys' personalities that have it when it comes to making those instinctual gut decisions. It seems like a lot of times those guys are very black and white with their day-to-day life. They're like, this is good, this is bad. This is what I do, this is what I don't do.
Yeah.
It's that personality
Right.
that makes for that, like when a situation happens, you're like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Or no, I'm not doing this. You know,
Yeah.
it's like
Right.
you can't have that like,
Yep.
oh, should I? No, there is no should I. You're confident in your black and white with
Well,
your
you
decisions.
just got to do it.
You gotta do it.
You
You're
got to
like,
trust your
yeah,
gut, and then
trust your gut.
you go through. You got to feel like you're gonna kill that deer.
Oh, yeah.
You
Yep.
can't have any other thoughts going through your head.
But
Like,
that goes back to that success and failure.
Oh yeah.
So you're going to 50% of the times you might do it and you're going to fail. The other 50, you just have to pick one and go with it.
But
'Cause if
you also got to learn that, like, even though you made the right decision, another element was in there that was another little decision, and that wasn't even the decision. You know,
right.
there's millions
Dude,
of
it's the
your
universe.
speed. Your speed. Like I tracked a buck late season one time in our national forest. It's not too far from here, and And it was all a timing issue. I went to another. I usually drive the roads well before daylight, and then once it cracks light, I'm like, all right, I'm walking in to cut a track. If I didn't cut one, if there's a certain area that has snow and I don't have snow where my target deer is, and this was one of those spots. Like I drive a lot of these log roads trying to cut a track, and then it got light, and I'm like, all right, I'm hiking in, and I'm going to cut a track. I hiked into this one big swamp, did a big loop, couldn't cut anything. I'm just like, I'm going to go to another spot and cut a track. So I got out. I drive down the road, and I'm almost to that spot where I'm going to cut in, and there's a smoking fresh track crossing that was it's not smoking fresh, but it was probably done. I just missed seeing the deer. Like it's probably 2 hours old, right?
Yeah.
So I followed that deer, and he goes up through some hardwoods, and there's a ton of ferns in these open beaches, and that deer would be like digging ferns and antler marks. I'm telling you, like all over the snow. I'm like, I'm ready to shoot. I mean, that's like that's a hell of a buck.
Yep.
And he's going into an area where I've killed deer in the past, and it's all rolly like this. And I'm just like, I know when I come over this roll, I'll be able to see 100 yards down through these beaches. And he's just been digging ferns every 3 feet. Come over that next roll, and I can just see where he's dug ferns all the way down, all the way out of sight. I'm just like, oh my God. So it's just like, hurry up and get on his track all the way through
like
that
a roller coaster,
and get up over the next rise. And I'm just like, I'm going to shoot him right here. I'm going to shoot him right here. And then I can see where he's just milled all through. Go through like 3 of those, just heart attack, where you think you're going to come up over the rise and just catch him feeding. What a perfect opportunity to shoot one of the muzzleloader. It's like you can take your time. And it doesn't happen. I come up over the 3rd rise, and I can see where he's fed all the way down through that. I get down there, and he did a button hook right into a beaver swamp. As soon as I started into that beaver swamp, the wind is right at my back, and I'm just like, shit. I crash. I could just hear him taking off ahead of me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that deer was 70 yards from me in those spruces. If I'd have been 5 minutes sooner, I would have caught him in that hardwoods, and he would have been dead.
Yeah.
It's like timing. It was. I did everything right. I was just
timing was off.
10 minutes too late. I mean, you think about it, you're just like, the last thing I'm going to do is go fast on the track when the deer is digging up ferns.
Right.
But if I'd have gone fast on the track, I would have killed him.
You would have caught him there.
I would have caught him in one of those little swales. Like,
right.
And then think about,
but it's just, that's what makes it fun.
It does. And then like all the decisions that you're not even in the woods yet.
Yeah.
All those decisions.
Yeah.
How about
where are you going to go?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny. I talk to Morgan about this all the time. Where like people ask me, "Oh, where are you going? First day, or where are you going tomorrow?" And a lot of times I'm like, I have no idea, because I try to let literally. It's kind of weird, but I try to let the universe guide me.
Yeah.
Like my best Vermont buck I ever killed, I had it in mind that morning that I was going to point A. Started driving down the road, bridge was out. Turned around, I'm going to point B. I didn't drive around the long way. I was like, nope, I'm going somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I went to the other place and then got rewarded big for it. So it's like, I've always kind of run with that, with like, I let the wind kind of blow me in the direction. I know it's kind of weird to say, but there's a lot of, there's something to that. It's like, don't force.
Rodney would be very proud of you.
Well, that's why I like Rodney in a lot of ways, because it's like, you cannot force these things.
Right. Yeah.
You have to just kind of let it happen the way,
right?
Because there's 5 million decisions that have led up to kill a deer. So how are you going to control, what decisions are the right and wrong ones? You might as well just go with it, baby.
Right.
Just do your thing.
I mean,
you're good at it. Yeah.
That's go to say you could follow a buck one day, and on that day, every time he beds up on you, he's got you. He's in the right 100%. Wind. Or
I've had a bunch of deer like that.
He's just, but you go in there the next day on another thing of snow, or another fresh coating of snow, and he's there, and today it's your day.
You're walking along a side hill, and he's walking on his back track, and you shoot him head on at 40 yards.
Right, exactly. Or right.
So I've had him do that before.
Right.
Like you track bucks, and they keep backtracking on their track, and then they'll spur off somewhere else. It's like, man, I'd love to catch him doing that.
Right, like, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
It really is. Everything's got to line up just right, and you just never know when that day is going to be. But I think mentality is a lot of it. You have to have.
You just got to stay positive.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to kill that buck today.
Yeah. Yeah, and love it. Love the days that you're not killing them too. Like,
it just makes that one day you do kill them better.
Yeah.
Because I love it. I like every time I get on a big track, and like I've said it on a million podcasts. If I find a big enough track, I'll take it 3 days old because I'm just like, I want to know something about you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, you could follow him a mile, and there he is fresh.
And I've killed him. And I've killed him like that.
Especially the later it is in the season.
You know something I've always we've talked about this a lot too, and I think a lot of people like in the tracking game, what keeps guys from actually doing it? We've talked about the being afraid of the dark and stuff like that. I think trying to get back the vehicle. You know something that just popped into my mind that I really do think, and it doesn't get talked about a lot in tracking. What I think keeps a lot of guys from doing it. What happens when I shoot one 5 miles from the truck? What am I going to do?
Sure.
Then?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really think a lot of guys like that thought
great
never
problem to have.
never crosses my mind. But I think a lot of guys truly think about that and say, I don't want to be 5 miles from my truck when I kill a buck or whatever.
A lot of guys have that built-in anxiety about the woods and what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think it's very normal, and I think it's probably actually smart because that's baked into us as human beings because they're like, oh man, I could get like messed up out here in dark and I
primal instinct.
Yeah, they're like literally trying to stay alive in a sense, but like guys like probably us don't have those. We probably worked through those at a young age, or maybe some guys never even had them.
Well, it's going to be fine because I mean, it comes back to the physical fitness part. It's like, well, I'm not going to freeze to death because I'll just walk out. I'll just walk the whole way.
Right.
I'm not going to freeze to death when I'm walking.
Right.
I'll be warm.
Exactly. It's all a part, or
yeah.
There's not a piece of woods in the Northeast that could hold any of us.
Yeah, I'll just keep walking.
Just keep walking. Yeah. Yeah, you can walk 40 miles, I guarantee it.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll just walk
You'd be thirsty.
I mean, even if let's say I had to cut down off the mountain and hit a road and then walk twice as far on a road in the dark, it's way easier than trying to
absolutely
encounter in beaver swamps or something like that. It's like slab down off, hit a road, and then just truck the road for
I've done that
6 miles to your truck.
So often.
Like I've done that before.
Yeah, like when you come, like literally 6 miles on the road or a mile and a half through the woods.
You get on the other side of a mountain, I don't want to walk back up over it. I'll just walk around the base of it.
Well, and I said, I had a buddy that went up to me he went into the North Main woods with me, and he took my truck one day, and I got out in a spot, and he's like, man, I'm really nervous. Where do I come to find you? And I said, I don't know. I said, but I can tell you this. I know where the main road is. You're going to find me on a road trying to get to that main road to get back to civilization.
Or if you were Lanny, you would have said, I'll be in Maine.
Right, yeah.
That's what you would say. Yeah. But no, I think more of being a good deer hunter in the big woods is more mentality than people think.
Yeah.
The biggest hang-ups for guys is right on their shoulders. Yeah. It's right in between their ears because that is what separates the not so good to the great. Is the guys who are great, they do not think one time about walking out in the dark because it's getting late and they're tracking.
Right.
They do not think one time about how shitty of a drag it's going to be up and over that hill. They do not. It doesn't cross the mind.
Yeah.
Right.
They just do it, and they know it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. What's the worst that's going to happen? You got to leave the deer overnight? Oh, well, go back in the morning and get it. It's not a big deal. Walk out, keep a headlamp on you. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But like when I did the Essex show, I did a seminar with Nick, and it was all about deer hunting big woods. Literally, my number one thing I talked about was not being afraid of the dark. Because I'm convinced that is most of guys' problems.
Right. Oh, there's a lot. The bow hunting aspect of it, the amount of people that don't go in the woods until it's light, is crazy.
Or will come out before it's dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah.
Right.
And
right at prime time, they're getting down out of the,
Yeah, like, or how many people want to leave the truck 2 hours before it's daylight and hike up onto a mountain, and they're just like, man, that's pretty extreme. It's like, well, that's...
And
there's no one that's doing it.
Exactly.
And I want to be cracking. I want to be in the stand for like 30 minutes before it cracks daylight up there, and I'm going to be at the top of the mountain, or I'm going to be 2 miles from my truck at daylight, and it's like I've got a better chance of killing that big buck than no one's doing.
And guess what? The boogeyman's never got you, has he?
Right.
No.
Yeah.
So it's like I think men that are afraid of the dark, most of them will never admit they're afraid of the dark.
Oh yeah.
You see what I'm saying with that? There's a lot of pride that goes into being a man. And it's like, if they would just, and if you're listening to this and you're afraid of the dark, it's normal, dude. Admit it to yourself and work on it.
Yeah.
Start walking in the woods in the dark, start in July.
Yeah.
If you're afraid of it, go for a 10-minute walk in the woods in the dark with a headlamp.
And you don't even have to really start.
And just build on it.
You don't even really have to start in the woods.
No, you can walk on a road.
Walk on a dirt road with no lights.
Yeah.
I know it's funny to talk about, but seriously, a
No,
lot of guys.
I guarantee you it is.
A lot of guys, that's the hang up, you
Right.
know? Or worrying about not getting out. A lot of it's irrational fears.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, most fears are irrational.
Yeah.
Because honestly, if you really think about it, everything is going to be okay until it's not.
Well, I'll tell
Right?
you this part.
What does it matter?
I
mean,
that
really,
guy.
you're in hot water. If you like fall and break your leg, and you're going to get hypothermic, that's like a bad thing.
Do you have?
Right.
I mean, but keep a lighter on you in a plastic baggie.
Well, yeah. Oh, absolutely. But
And
I'm
you
just saying, like
yeah,
that would be
sure.
a shitty situation. Like,
It would be.
if you couldn't walk,
Sure.
and you were going to freeze to death because you were dressed really light.
That would suck.
That you just got to make good decisions.
Crawl with the other leg.
Yeah.
This is not
Make a crutch or something.
Right.
Use your gun,
I don't know.
gun as a crutch.
I guess I've never been in that situation, so it's probably easier said than done. But I would not hesitate if I killed a buck that I knew was over 200 pounds, just because that's my thing. I would not hesitate at all to spend the night in the woods until I could see the next day to get that deer out of the woods.
Sure. Yeah, there's guys that have done it.
Well, you do the thing like my buddy Timmy does. He has that
The hoist.
little blocking tackle.
Right.
Hang that deer
That's
up.
smart.
Coyotes won't touch a deer hanging.
Right.
That's great.
I mean, you can
great
hang a beaver carcass, whatever, as long as it's hanging there. A coyote won't go near that thing.
Well, I can tell you, I'm sure.
Like
hell
they
is
don't
that?
like it. They're scared of it.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
scared of it. Like
It's
a bobcat or
floating beaver.
like a bobcat or a bear or something. They'd walk up to it, but a coyote would never touch it. People are like,
It's
"Oh,
not
a coyote's
natural.
going to eat my deer." It's like, no, it won't.
And
It
think
probably
about all
won't
the
go near
scent
it.
you have on it too.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
from
that's what I
hanging
was just thinking. It probably wouldn't be the most comfortable walk out of the woods, but I know the smelliest shirt that I have on when I'm hunting. If I got to take my jacket off and throw my undershirt on top of the deer, I know nothing's going near that thing after a day of tracking. So
Yeah, I think Timmy takes a knife and cuts his underwear off.
That would be
Slings that onto the antlers.
That would be
Like, yeah, no human even wants to touch that.
Yeah, right.
Oh man.
That's too funny.
No, but it's cool. I mean, what's some advice that you would give your 25-year-old self if you could? And it doesn't have to be hunting advice.
Boy, it would be buy rental properties, and then you would have more freedom.
Cool. That's good advice.
I'm telling you.
Airbnbs are the huge thing. If I'd have started buying those things, man, I'd have been retired years ago. Like, yeah. Residual income. Bust your ass and find ways to make residual income.
Yep. Your money makes money.
Residual income and money that you don't have to be working all the time. You got to have time.
Right.
Find ways to make money.
Work when you have
so
to.
You don't have to work all the time because you need time.
Time is the only thing you can't buy.
Time is the thing. Time is the thing you need. You need a way to make money so you can take time.
That's great advice.
Yeah,
That's great advice.
100% what I'd tell myself at 25. All those houses that were for sale before COVID that were like 80, 100 grand or whatever, start getting those. Start buying those.
Yeah. Yeah, because we will have another COVID.
No,
it's not going to be COVID, but it'll be something else.
It's crazy. The rental, real estate and everything.
Something else
It's
is
just
gonna happen.
invest in stuff though. Like I'm a carpenter, so I mean, I could put all the sweat equity into them.
Right.
That's what I should have been doing instead of working on millionaires' houses, doing trim work, and busting my ass, and then like saving money, and then that the rental game is where it's at. I think. So if I'd have done that in my 20s, I would have a.
You still could. You're only 47.
Well, I'm starting. This is, when I move into my other house, this is going to be my rental house.
Oh, that's cool.
I'll have my first one. So.
Well, there you go.
So.
See,
awesome, man.
We're on the same wavelength on this one.
Yeah.
I've been talking to him a lot
100%,
about this, and I'm like, man, don't throw away something good you have for better. If you can make it work, that's not retail, but property and stuff like that is people have to live.
Yeah.
People have to live and they have to have
I
somewhere
mean, we
to
work
live.
in the trades, so I mean, our jobs are always going to be there.
Oh yeah.
But it's like do stuff so you can make some residual, and that's through rental properties
Right.
for me.
Yep.
For our trades, that would have been the smart way to go.
Well, especially in the area that we live too.
Yeah, I'm right
'Cause
near ski areas and
Yep.
second homeowners. And,
Smart.
Yep.
It's very smart.
so right now, I kind of I do carpentry, and then I got an animal control business in the summertime, and do the guiding whenever I can, make a little bit of money on moose, and I have a bunch of different part-time jobs. So.
Yep.
And when I was growing up, to have extra cash, that's when I was working at the bars every Friday and Saturday night, and that kept me from spending money. And I actually was making money and still so
Right.
I was always I got to bank money, and then I'm going to hunt this fall. So
Right.
That was always my mentality, but it wasn't always the best executed. I could have done it a little differently, so I would have been set up a little differently, but it was a good time.
Well, let's wrap a bow on this one. I feel like we're at a good spot. This has been a great episode.
100%.
We appreciate you having us down to your house here and talking a little bit about deer hunting. I know we could go all night here. So
100%. Yeah, there's really no end to it.
No, and I think this is I want to say third or fourth podcast I've done with you in one shape or another, and I would love to continue to do one yearly.
Yeah.
Because you always...
You're a plethora of knowledge.
Oh yeah,
when it comes
you're
to the
full.
white-tailed deer.
Full
yeah,
of knowledge.
I love chatting, so it's it's hopefully we'll see how this year goes.
Yeah. Do you want to
do one at the end of hunting season? See how
I would love
see
to.
how everything goes.
That'd be awesome.
Do you want to point anybody into any directions of where they can find you online?
I still got my Instagram going. That's In Pursuit 365.
Yep.
And I got the YouTube channel, In Pursuit 365, and it's I put a little bit of stuff on there here or there. I'm not really filming all that much, but doing a little bit of filming with Just Hunt Club.
Yep, that's cool.
So I was just talking with John the other day about they've been kind of sending a cameraman with me here or there, so we're trying to capture some more stuff on video. So maybe
that's cool, man.
We'll see some stuff this year.
That's
probably.
Awesome. John's a good shit.
Yeah,
I like him.
So YouTube is pretty much where it's at. With that In Pursuit and Just Hunt Club
and you have some great videos.
Yeah,
I know you were I want to say OG Northeast.
Yeah, one of the
YouTuber.
first ones to really do a lot of footage.
First.
It was on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yep.
You and Doyle, really.
Yeah.
You were the first guy,
Yeah.
I'm 2011, 12.
Yeah, back when you were doing it
13.
with Johnny.
Yeah.
Right with here, you guys were putting out some real good stuff.
Yeah, and all my I was even guiding moose for probably 7-8 years before that. So that got me a lot of business for guiding moose was the YouTube. Everyone would call me and they'd just be like, I want to hunt just like that one that I saw on YouTube. I'm like, well, we'll try. We'll try.
Cool. Yeah,
And
exactly.
everyone wanted to see the horse pull the moose out, and it was a good way to meet people.
But you saw the light at the end of the tunnel, and you'll be able to utilize that, and that increased it.
Cool.
Yeah, and then
There's that IQ again.
Then it rolled into social media, and we get to I would have never met any of you guys without
Right,
social media.
absolutely.
True. Yeah. I know. I always followed along with the In Pursuit 365 Facebook page way back in the day.
Yep.
That's where I found you. I'd seen you. I was one of the nerds that during deer season I would be checking Curtis's online photo album.
Oh yeah.
As the season was going on, because I was like, oh my god, what are they killing in Vermont? And you were on there all the time, so I knew who you were.
Yeah.
But then meeting you and everything was cool. But all right, guys, thanks for listening.
Absolutely, it's a good time.
Thanks for watching. If you're watching and if you made it this far, thank you. We appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next one.
See you on the next one.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks, buddy. We appreciate it.
Oh, that was a good one. Real good episode.